Okay, so here's the deal, people. It's 7 o'clock on the rocket clock, and I'm feeling a little tired. I went to sleep pretty late, and I feel like I need a nap. So that's what I'm gonna do. Uh, but as little to talk about today as there has been the last couple of days. When I wake up from this little nap, it might only be half an hour, I want to talk about how I feel like I might be having a heart attack or getting ready to have a stroke. I want to talk about how fat I am right now, and that could be one of the reasons why I feel like I'm going to have a stroke. And feeling a little bit sick, just in general. I don't want to alarm anybody out there. I don't think it's COVID related. But, yeah, just, we'll talk about that when and if I wake up from this nap. So I'll talk to you guys a bit later. You're listening to the Non-Essential Podcast. Keep listening or not. Do whatever you want. Okay, it's coming up to 8 p.m. now. I'm awake from my nap. It was a pretty good one. Solid. See, that's the thing about naps, I find, is that, and just sort of sleep in general. I don't really, I'm lucky if I sleep 5 or 6 hours a night, really. There's the occasional day or a few days where I'm just conked out for, a little bit longer than that, but that's more to do with the lack of sleep that I get catching up with me, I think. But sleep is a funny thing. They say, you need X amount of hours, you need 8 hours a night or whatever. I feel as though when it comes to sleep, quality is far more important than quantity, I find. I've had some, 3-4 hour sleeps that have just absolutely fucking recharged me, and I've woken up full of energy and ready to fucking go. So that's a little bit what this nap that I've just had has done to me. I feel a little bit kind of reinvigorated and re-energized, and it was, just under an hour. So, yeah, quality of sleep is far more important than quantity, I find. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if any of you out there agree with me or disagree and want to talk about it. Let's do it. What else has happened? Went to the supermarket again today. That was a bit of fun. And not only did I do that, I pumped up my tyres. I had a little bit of a flat tyre. I walked out the door and I was a bit worried. My back tyre was looking very flat. I was like, oh no, because I don't have a spare. And I don't even know if, tyre shops are open for the next 5 weeks. So I got a little bit worried, but we got through it. We got through the trip to the supermarket. I pulled up at one supermarket that is probably it's actually probably the second closest one to where I live, but it's still within a 5k radius. And I'm driving in, and I'm turning into the car park, and I see a guy walking into the shops without a mask on. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I didn't say this. I was still in the car looking for a park. And then I parked, and I thought to myself, you know what? No, I'm not going to go here because of that cunt. Because that cunt is being a selfish cunt and not wearing a fucking mask, I'm not going to go to this supermarket now. So turned the car back on and went to another one that is still, I believe, within a 5k radius. I think it's within 4.9. It's very close to a 5k, to the 5k limit. But it is still within 5k's of my house, in case the cops are listening to this podcast. I imagine that this would be very popular among police officers. I don't know. So that was good to get out of the house. It's been a few days since I'd last been to the supermarket. Or a couple. I don't know. They all just blend into one. It's just one long fucking day that lasts about 600 hours. From the 3rd of August all the way up to where we're at now. What is the date now? It's the 14th of August. It's day 12. Yeah, day 12. I should also say this is the non-essential podcast again. I'm forgetting to say the name of this show at the start. How far in are we? We're coming up to, nearly 5 minutes in, 4 minutes in. And I'm just saying the name now. I had something to say there. I forgot. See, this is the thing. I go off on these fucking little tangents and these little things just kind of take my mind off the actual point that I was about to make or the thing I was about to say and talk about. I don't remember what it was now. Fuck. Is that a sign of like sort of early onset Alzheimer's or something like that, dementia? I wouldn't be surprised if it is. My short-term memory, not that great. It's failing me a lot in recent years. Long-term memory, though, I remember fucking everything from, back in the day. That's what I wanted to say. I actually wanted to say thank you to DJ Nathaniel for fucking jumping on the show with me last night. It pains me to have to say that. It pains me to have to thank him. But, he was good enough to sort of get on the phone with me and have a bit of a chin wag, I guess. Not that I really wanted to. But, it is what it is. And if last night's episode sounded a little bit kind of funny and edited and stuff like that, it's because it was. I think we chopped it down, we chopped it down from about a 45-minute conversation to 17 minutes or something like that. So, looking to get more people on the show with me. We're all in this together, remember? This is a way of keeping us all in touch. I want to say a bit of a. I've only just seen today. This is a bit of a personal agenda here. That sounds very sinister, doesn't it? But it's not. I just want to say to one person that I know who's been listening out there, I'm going to call you. I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. So if you listen to this, episode, hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. As Big Tomahawk just wrestles his opponent not quite in the goal square, at the top of the goal square. It's, the footy's on. It's Friday night, obviously. It's Geelong and Port Adelaide, which I think could be a pretty good game. A little bit confused as to why it's happening on the Gold Coast. I mean, they've been playing games in Adelaide, haven't they? And it's why not just play the game in Adelaide? I know Geelong need their quote-unquote home games as well, but this isn't, it's the fucking Gold Coast. It's a long way from Geelong. And in this season, the way it is, I reckon any game that we can have in front of a decent crowd is probably the way to go. So it should be a good game. Geelong have got out to an early lead here. It's only been going for a few minutes. 13-0. Port Adelaide are been a bit of a force this year. I'm not really sure who's sitting where on the ladder, but I know that Port are going all right. Port are going all right. That sounded a bit weird, didn't it? Port are going all right this year. And Richmond are continuing to do all right as well, I think. Port-Richmond Grand Final is what I'm thinking it'll probably be, and it's such a fucking shame that it's not going to be at the MCG in front of, 100,000 people, because they're two kind of like, they're two clubs that have just, rough as guts fan bases, and it would be great to just watch the animals in the zoo on that last weekend or whatever it is in September. So it's unfortunate that the grand final is probably going to be between Port and Richmond at probably the Gabba. But of all the things that's going on in the world at the moment, I think where the grand final for the AFL is probably the least of our worries. I don't mind the idea, actually, of having the grand final in a different sort of like they do with the gridiron in the US. The Super Bowl is, they don't have like a mecca like the MCG, where the Super Bowl is played every year. It's only really like us that do it, and probably the English Premier League. They probably play that at Wembley, right? Wait, no, the Premier League, I think, is settled by like points. They don't even have like a championship match, I don't think, at the end. I think it's whoever's on top of the fucking ladder. Is that the Premier League that I'm thinking of? I don't know. I don't give a fuck about soccer. But yeah, I mean, I think having the AFL Grand Final, and this is probably blasphemy for a Victorian like myself, a proud Victorian, to even say this and suggest this. But why not? Why not have the Grand Final in a different location every year, Got all these fucking gigantic, stadiums and shit that hold 60,000 plus around the country, scattered around the country. It's a national game, right? Why not have the Grand Final in sort of a different state every year? At least maybe trial it for a couple of years. I don't know. I'm likely to wake up tomorrow and say to myself, what the fuck was I thinking? I'm probably likely to want to, in a couple of hours, edit all of that out of this episode and think to myself, how dare you suggest such a thing, Matty? You're a Victorian. The MCG is the only place to play a grand final unless it's the year 1991 and it gets played out at Waverley because they're building the Southern Stand at the MCG. That's the only exception. That's the only time you play the grand final anywhere else. It's got to be at Waverley. It's a bit more difficult now because there's houses all around Waverley. But, back in the day, what a grand final that was too. Hawthorn, 1991, beating West Coast. It's a highly unfair advantage playing the grand final out at Hawthorn's home ground. But West Coast were like, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. And then it was a long time between drinks for the Hawks. 2008 was the next grand final. And then, of course, we've had the dynasty. What was it, 14, 15, 16? Wait, no, 13, 14, 15, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of about all I've got to say for this particular break. I might... I'll pause it here, and I'll come back, and you won't even know that I've paused because, that's the beauty of editing. But I'm going to stop for a few minutes. Might go make myself Might go make myself a coffee, and have a couple of rows of Cadbury peppermint chocolate, and then I'll come back and tell you how fat I am. We'll talk about how fat I am, and it's because I'm having chocolate and coffee all day long. It's the Non-Essential Podcast with me, Matty K. Just not essential at all, nor will it ever be. Nobody cares. Alright, so I haven't actually gone up and got myself a coffee yet, but I will before but before I do that, I will talk about how fat I am at the moment. This happened, sort of touched on it a little bit last night with my friend DJ Nathaniel. In the first lockdown, I put on some weight. I think we all did, and we probably all are again in the second round of lockdown, especially because it's winter now. It wasn't winter in the first lockdown. People often stack on the kilos in the colder months because, back in the day, if we didn't, we'd die. But I weighed myself the other night, and granted, it was after a massive bowl of pasta and some mince, so I was very, kind of bloated and incapacitated. I don't know if I even said that word right, or even if it's the right word to use there, but I was fucked, basically, after it, is what I'm saying. And I thought, you know what? I feel so fat right now. This is easily the fattest I have ever been in my entire life, and I want proof of it. So I waddled my way. I waddled my way to the bathroom. Struggled to squat down to grab the scales, and pulled them out of the fucking sort of little cupboard or whatever that they're in. Took a deep breath and thought, all right, Manny, are you prepared for this mentally? Are you prepared to see what you're weighing in at these days, how fat you are? And I thought, well, to quote Snoop Dogg, ain't nothing to it but to do it. And so I put one big fucking foot on there. The needle kind of bounced around a little bit as we sort of covered it last night with DJ Nathaniel that it's the old school scales, it's not digital. Just fucking plonked the other foot on there, and there I stood with my gut hanging out, barely able to see my toes, and I fucking looked down at the numbers on the scales, and I was 115 kilos. 115. I'll say it again. What the fuck? There is no way in the world I should be this heavy. I'm starting to resemble one of those like strongmen. I've been seeing a lot of those strongmen videos coming up in my news feeds, and I've been clicking on them because they're always great to watch. But I'm just like, I got this sort of just fat gut, but these broad shoulders that look like they can carry a little bit, and I just look like a fucking... I probably don't look like a strong man. That's probably just wishful thinking, really, on my part. I probably just look like a fat cunt, and God knows that's how I feel right now. Breathing is becoming a little more difficult. I know that's one of the signs of COVID. I think I'm seeing the commercials on TV, and they're like, if you've got this, a fucking fever, sore throat, runny nose, difficulty breathing. But I'd been having a little bit more difficulty breathing before COVID, and I don't know what this is about. And I am heavier than I've ever been, and I don't actually remember the last time I was below 107 kilos. I've been at a weight that I should not be at for probably a couple of years at least, and I think it's taken its toll on my internal and vital organs, and it's making it hard to breathe. I really do need to go to a doctor. That's one thing I'm really looking, I'm almost looking forward to it after lockdown is over. I know that we can actually still go to the doctors, but I'm avoiding it in, this lockdown. But I just need to get back out there and start walking again and start running again and eating better. That's really the only issue. Just need to do all that, and I should hopefully see the weight start to sort of slide off, melt away. But I'm also lifting weights a lot more than I ever have in my life, and my upper body and my arms are bigger than they've ever been before, like muscular as well. So, maybe that has a bit to do with the weight. But I mean, I certainly could use, losing some pounds, losing some kilos. It's 253 pounds, by the way, in case you're wondering. If that if you're an old kind of sort of wrestling fan and stuff like that, that puts me at around about Triple H's weight in his prime. I think he was billed at like 250 or 260 or something like that. 260, I think he was. So I'm nearly there. And I'm only 5 kilos off not being able to weigh myself on these scales anymore. It only goes up to 120. Oh, I'm such a fat cunt. But I blame COVID. I'd probably still be sort of hovering around the 105 to 107 mark, which is still too heavy. If COVID wasn't happening right now, that's probably where I'd be. I'd probably be about 10 kilos lighter. I know we're allowed to exercise and all that sort of stuff, but it's a bit of a mental thing as well. You know, you hear about all these cases going up and all these deaths and everything, and it makes me not want to kind of go out there and exercise. But I was thinking earlier, before when I was out at the supermarket, I thought, you know what, I might actually start from next week, from, Monday, I might actually start doing, taking advantage of the hour that we're allowed out of the house to exercise. Because, you run the risk of COVID, but at the same time, me just kind of sitting here eating carbs and having a very sedentary lifestyle isn't probably the best idea either. So you just got to take your chances sometimes, kids. And what do you want? Do you want to die from COVID, or do you want to die from a heart attack? And I don't know. I feel, I'd probably rather COVID. Because that's another thing I felt the other night. I don't know if this was because I'd done weights just before, but I felt a little bit of a pain kind of on the inside of my left bicep, where a lot of people get tattoos, but 10-15 years ago it was all the rage to get a tattoo on the inside of your bicep. Around about there was where I felt a little bit of pain, and it's the left side where you supposedly get like a pain when you have a stroke, like your left arm and stuff like that. And I sort of thought, oh no, what's going on here? What's happening now? So I don't know, watch this space. I may not get through the 42 days. I may have a heart attack or a stroke before then. Knock on wood that it doesn't happen. But fucking hell, I know that I'm certainly feeling very unhealthy and very unfit in lockdown 2.0. So let's just all do the right fucking things and get these cases down, so the politicians who make the rules and the laws can say, you know what, you guys can go outside and just kind of live your normal lives now. And I'll be back out every night on the footpaths of Melbourne, walking and throwing in a little bit of running. And let's get back to a healthy kind of weight, Maddie. I'm looking to get to around about between 88 and 92 kilos, which I think is still possibly a little too heavy. I'm only like 5'10", 5'9", something like that. I'm probably just adding a couple of inches there. I'm probably only 5'8". I'm starting to say now that I'm 5'10". I think I'm 5'10" with good posture. So, and I stand by that. But yeah, let's, I can't wait to just kind of get back out there and start, I can't wait to go for a run. Never thought I'd say that in my fucking life. I've always hated running. But I kind of want to get out there and run a bit. You're listening to the Non-Essential Podcast. Keep listening or not. Do whatever you want. I've managed to crap on for a bit today. This episode's going to be a little bit longer than I probably would have thought it was going to be. I thought that these episodes were probably going to start to become, 15 minutes. Because, like, I think I said this the other day, like, unless I'm pulling up articles about, like I had on one of the first episodes, day 1 or day 2, I think it was, the guy who had a dick growing on his arm because his dick fell off, and they surgically reattached it or whatever, but before they did that, they had to have it kind of grow on his forearm for 4 years. Unless I find articles like that around the place, there's not much going on, like every day is kind of the same in lockdown. I can't go out and kind of interact with people and find things to talk about, you know what I mean? So I'm limited to what actually happens to me during the day and whatever the internet provides, and I'm not really looking around for articles about guys with dicks growing on their arm, which I probably should. Like I probably should do a bit more scouring of the internet and finding some funny things to talk about. Basically preparing a show every day instead of just flicking the mic on and going for it and hoping for the best. I really should prepare some things. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll start next week. But it's Friday night, and I'm probably just going to chill for the next couple of days, and just get ready for another week being locked up in the house. So I think I might actually just end this one here tonight. We've gone about 20-something minutes, so that's not too bad. Day 12. We're nearly there, people. We're nearly there. If all goes according to plan, we are coming up to sort of, we're a tiny bit over a month. And then, and then we're there. So we've gotten through this far. We can keep going. We'll be fine. It's the 14th of August 2020, and again, if all goes according to plan, the 13th of September is when this shit ends. So cases went down today, which is a positive sign, and we're just gonna keep doing it, and before we fucking know it, life will be normal again, and we can go and visit friends or something, and like the person I was speaking to earlier in this episode. We will line up a visit. I know you're listening. I know you're listening to this. We'll line up a visit when I chat to you on the phone, possibly tomorrow. But to that person, I actually want to just apologise for being a shit cunt. But I do legitimately miss most of your calls and messages, and don't see them until, sometimes a couple of hours after. Because I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, like pretty much 95% of the time. And I kind of just get to things in my own time. So anyway, I think that might be it for today. Have a good weekend, everyone. Check in with you tomorrow, because, we're doing this every day until lockdown 2 is over. Insert abrupt ending now.